Hello and welcome to the TrainerWise Daily Show. On today's episode, as opposed to all the opinions out there, is there a lack of actual fitness data?
Show me a good time. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Show me a good, show me a good time. Oh yeah.
Hey, this is a call out to all strength coaches and trainers out there. If you would like to share your views on a given topic, just go to trainerwise.com. Fill out the contact form. Tell us the topic that's of interest to you, and we'll get you on as soon as possible. We're filling up shows at the moment, currently taking guest speakers. So please do take the time now to contact us there, and we'll get you on. Is there a lack of data in the fitness industry? On today, our guests are Jen Pilotti from Monterey, California, and Mr. Brett Jones from Pittsburgh. I would say gentlemen, but gentlemen and gentlewoman, welcome.
How's it going? Great
It's
to
good.
be on again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I put you on with the crazy Lacey Stone last time. So we got Jen Pilotti, and she promised to be a good girl in hell. So we'll see what happens. I wanted to ask the question right out of the gate. Where do trainers get their data? Miss Jen, where do the heck we get our data?
I think they go to the internet a lot. I think they read a lot of blogs. I'm actually in graduate school right now because I was not happy with the data that was out there.
So like getting it from your certification or from whatever your undergrad background and whatnot, you just felt like you wanted to further your education, obviously?
Yeah, you kind of get to a point where you're like, well, what do I do for these people? You know, everything's so conflicting.
Yeah. And so Brett, do you have an idea? I mean, where you're an instructor out there, you coach a lot of people, you make DVDs as we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Where's the source of the information that people are, using to base their programs on?
Well, I think Jen's absolutely right. I think there's a lot of internet and blog searching out there. You can look at Perform Better, the 3-day, learn summits, the 1-day learn by doing seminars. They're actually the largest provider of continuing education units in the personal training industry.
Wow.
And it's a bit of a fitness buffet. You get to sample many different versions of what people are trying to promote at that time. I definitely think within your certifying body, I'm an NSCA member, so I get the journals and the NSCA materials. Do a lot of extra reading on my own, and something I hope all the other trainers are doing as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty true. I didn't know that about Perform Better Summit. You always see the advertisements for it when you're over there trying to pick up a foam roll or whatnot. But
Yep.
I know that's a big Results Fitness, the Cosgroves, Greg Cook, and them, and Mike Boyle. And that's my question is like, what's the how many different sources? Like for me, I guess when it comes to data, if we're talking about specific how-to, not necessarily let's say Michael Boyle stating, his experience, which is super valid and I'm sure scientifically based, but I want to look at like the scientific data, and sometimes I think that those journals cost a lot of money, to be honest, and they're put out pretty infrequently, like studies, and I kind of almost wish that there was a greater frequency. Like, can we just get, it's like getting an MRI, right? And they'll say, "Oh, come back in 3 weeks," and you're like, why can't you just go in the other room and just take a peek and then tell me? It's like, why so long? Let's get to the next question real quick. Is there an abundance of readily accessible data? I mean, like I'm arguing that there's not, but maybe I don't know. Brett, what would you say? Is there a lot of sources for people to look at the actual scientific experiments, that the case studies?
I actually think there is. If you look, if you subscribe to something like the NSCA journal or some of the ACSM,
right.
ACE. I mean, there's a variety of certifying bodies out there that do a pretty good job of getting the information out to their members and getting the information out in their journals. Google is your friend. I mean, you can pull down a lot of information with a good Google search, and if you're in grad school or you have access to it, there's PubMed, and Jen can probably speak to this since she's getting her master's degree, but a study can be run 3 years before it ever sees the light of day publishing wise, because it is such a process to get it published, and that's why research lags behind what we're doing in the industry.
Is your contention that, I mean, this kind of goes into the next question, and I'll throw it at Jen. Well, I'll let you speak for yourself on this. Do you think that that there's experimenting that should go on between trainer and client that's maybe on an unproven basis, like a theory? I have an idea, let's try it, let's implement, let's see what happens. Let's stay in pain-free range of motions, not challenge too many, to try to do too many aggressive things that are unproven. But should we at least be? Is it okay to experiment?
I certainly think it is. I mean, if you are using biomechanically sound frame of reference, then gosh, why not? Because otherwise, what are you gonna do? Things like the TRX rip trainer, there's been no research on it, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to use it.
Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna have Pete Holman on Thursday. I'm gonna say just that. I'm gonna ask him, like, so where do you test it? How many times have it been tested? But people love it, and if people enjoy it, and that's another topic. But Brett, same question: is it good? Is it cool to experiment?
Well, I'm going to have to go with a little Gray Cook quote, because the subject of any sentence involving an exercise is not the exercise or the technique or the whatever. It's the person that's going to be doing it. And we're all an experiment of one. And there are people out there who will have great success on intermittent fasting, or they'll have great success with eating 6 times a day, or they'll have great success with eliminating wheat. And then there's other people that will do the exact opposite of that and get great results. The research is going to indicate what happened within that particular sample group.
Right.
A lot of the research within strength conditioning and things of that nature will have typically very small sample sizes, which is a big threat to internal validity. And, there's research can be indicative, but waiting for research, I think, is a bit of an issue because, like I said earlier, it's always going to lag behind what we're actually doing, and it may not apply to the individual that you're working with.
Yeah, that's true, and I would agree that there's. I mean, I asked that question thinking that there's a lot of creativity that's involved in working with one-on-one, people. So they may have 2 unique conditions where you're just like, I don't know how to work with this. I don't remember any literature telling me how. Let's try this. And so it's probably more of a rhetorical question. Jen, is that your position as well?
Yes. I mean, I definitely think, as has already been stated, it depends on who you're working with. What's good for them? It's exercise is so individualized that you kind of have to keep all of that in mind when you're designing programs.
Yeah. So, which is to say, you shouldn't just pull stuff out of your ass, so to speak.
Right.
You know what? You see, let's go get on that rafter right there. Can you do a chin up on that? Which sometimes I actually think is appropriate. Let me ask the 4th question. How often should, last question, we'll get out of here. How often should seasoned trainers revisit their philosophies? Obviously, you're revisiting it in a big way, Jen. How often should that occur?
I think it should occur fairly often, actually, if you're keeping up with the reading of the experts. I mean, if you're looking at what Gray Cook's doing, if you're looking at what Stuart McGill's doing, if you're looking at what Michael Boyle's doing, they change their philosophies, not all the time, but frequently enough that I think it's important to keep up with the reading and see what they're doing and, revisit what you're doing too.
Yeah, Brett, there's times I got to say where I've come away from a conference and I remember, maybe this is TMI, but I'm at the urinal there with my friend and I'm just like, I guess I remember specifically like 13 years ago when I was just starting. I looked at him, I said, I think I'm going to go tell my client, everything I've been teaching you for the last year and a half? Let's just forget all of that and start over here, okay? Just pretend I never touched anything. And I think that experience is, it's kind of like a guy told me once, you got to burn down the forest to grow new trees, that whole thing. So you were saying read every day, or you read regularly, Brett? Is that what we all should be doing?
Absolutely. I think that I actually try to find things like a couple years ago, neuroscience was big in my crosshairs, and I was reading books like The Body Has a Mind of Its Own, On Intelligence by Jeff Hawkins, The Brain That Changes Itself. I continually try to read into various areas. Obviously, Gray's book, Movement. I am fortunate that I get to talk to the Boyles and the Cosgroves and, people like that. So I get a pretty good finger on the pulse of what's going on. But I think reevaluating your personal philosophy if it's not a ongoing developing process,
Yeah.
then you're really missing out. I was young enough to think, I was once young enough to think that I knew it all, and have learned since that I want to have the continual beginner mindset and be able to learn and know that, and I present and teach all the time, and I'm fairly authoritative in what I'm presenting because I'm there to present that material.
Right.
And the caveat is always, this
Yeah,
is what
go look for yourself.
this is, you can have a completely different experience with your client or with the person that you're working with, and it doesn't invalidate much of anything because we are so individual.
Well put. Gang, thanks for coming on. We're on a short time. Miss Jen Pilotti, if people want to go pick your brain and see what you're up to with your new degree and all, where should they get in touch with you?
Probably the best place is actually my website. It's www.bewellpt.com.
Gotcha. And what are you studying?
I'm getting my master's in human movement.
Gotcha. And Mr. Jones, I know you were talking about some DVDs you created. You want to expand on that for a minute?
Best place to reach me is also my website, applied, applied strength.com. Emails appliedstrength@gmail.com. Was honored recently to be a part of filming the convict conditioning DVDs.
Everybody has the condition.
Exactly. It was a book put out by Paul Wade. It's published through Dragon Door Publications, dragondoor.com for more info. And we went out to the Rock. We went out to Alcatraz and filmed 6 DVDs covering quite a few exercise progressions. So very exciting experience of a lifetime, really. It was an amazing experience, and really looking forward to those coming out. Kettlebells from the Ground Up 2 is hitting the shelves now. That's going deep into using the Get Up to correct movement patterns. So there's a lot going on there, and I want to learn more about getting a master's in movement. I love that, Jen.
Yeah, we have you, Jen. I know you're up in Monterey, California, and I'm more south of you. But how's the weather up there in Monterey? Has it been kind of beautiful like it is out here?
It's a beautiful day right now, probably about 68 degrees.
Just like Pittsburgh, I imagine, huh, Brett?
Oh, yeah, we're beautiful 30 degrees or so.
Super cool. Gang, thanks again, and thank you, everybody, for watching.
Show me a good time. Oh yeah. Show me a good time.